To make the striped crochet bikini, you're going to need a few different materials. You'll need two different color yarns. I'm using the Baby Bee Sweet Delight yarn from Hobby Lobby, and it's really important that your yarns are the same content and weight and thickness, but they don't have to be the same brand. You'll need a crochet hook that corresponds with the weight and thickness of the yarn. So I'm using a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a pair of scissors and a darning needle to tuck your loose ends. So I'm going to talk about the process a little bit before I start getting into the actual instructions. The top, the cups, and the bikini bottom are worked up using the double crochet stitch. I'll show exactly where to do the increases and decreases because you're going to have to do a few. And the straps are done using the chain stitch. So if you can do all those, you'll be able to make this with no issue. So let's get started. To make this bikini, I'm going to start by making the top first. So each of the cups is the typical triangle crochet bralette cup pattern. I've seen it done 1,000,001 times on YouTube. I'm not sure what the exact name is, but I'm going to show how I switch between colors to create the stripe pattern. The first thing you're going to do is make a chain that is the length from your underbust to your nipple. I made this top before, so I know for me it's going to be 11 chains, but depending on your size, it might be a little more or a little less. So I'm going to make those 11 chains now. So here are my 11 chains. This is about how long it is. And since we're doing the double crochet stitch, you have to chain 2 for height. So it ends up being 13 total for me. So skipping the first 2 chains, I'm going to work the double crochet stitch across this row, but I'm going to stop once I get to that very last chain. So I'm on my last chain, and in this last chain, we're going to do this one a little differently. It's going to end up being 2 double crochets, 1 chain space, and 2 more double crochets, but you're going to color change after the second double crochet. So I'm going to do 1 double crochet, and then I'm going to start doing the second one. But once I get to that second place where I'm supposed to yarn over and then pull through those last 2 loops, I'm actually going to yarn over with the contrast color instead of the green that I've been working with. So you're going to keep your contrast yarn not too far away. You yarn over and then pull through. And then that way I'm working with the blue yarn instead of the green. I'm going to take the short piece of this blue and I'm going to pull it all the way through, reinsert my crochet hook, and then chain 1 and do 2 more double crochets into that same space. Okay, so from here, this last stitch, it does tend to get a little loose. So you can take the short piece of this green yarn that you were working with and just pull it to close up that hole. But then you're gonna put the short piece to the side or to the back so that it doesn't get in your way. And you're gonna continue to double crochet across this row, but it's very important that you bring the first yarn that you were working with along with you. So when you're doing your double crochet stitches, you're gonna keep the green yarn or the first yarn in between it so that when you get to the end and you have to color change again, you won't have to like cut and reattach the yarn. The yarn will already be there. You can just switch between the 2 colors pretty easily. So I'm going to continue to double crochet across this row, working into every stitch. So I'm on that last double crochet stitch, and you can see that I brought my green yarn along with me. I'm just going to pull the green yarn a little bit just so that it's not loose in that space. And then from here, when I do my double crochet stitch, once I get to that last pull up a loop, you're going to switch to the green yarn. So I'm going to do yarn over and then insert into that double crochet stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull up 2 loops, and then yarn over with the green, and then pull up 2 loops again. So that way I'm now working with the green yarn. I'm going to chain 2, flip my work, and then I'm going to double crochet across this row until I get to the chain space. But this time you need to make sure you bring your blue yarn along with you. So now I'm at the chain space, and that's where I'm going to work my increase in. But I'm going to make sure that I pull the blue yarn a little bit just to tighten it up. And then now I'm going to work two double crochets, a chain space, and then two more double crochets in this space, but making sure that I switch to the blue yarn after that second double crochet. So this is one, this will be two, and then I'm going to switch to the blue yarn, and then I'm going to chain one, and then two more double crochets. And then I'm going to continue to double crochet around this row. I'm going to make sure I keep this short piece out of my way. So I'm at my last stitch again. I'm going to do one more double crochet, making sure that I switch to the other yarn, chain two, flip my work, and then working across. So we're going to continue to do that same stitch pattern, just working across, increasing at the chain space, and then continue to work across until the bra cup is big enough to cover your breast. I think I'm going to end up doing 9 rows total, if I remember correctly, but you're just going to continue to do these rows, these increased rows, until the cup is the size that you want it to be. So I'm going to come back when I'm at the end of that. So I'm on the last 2 stitches of this row. I'm gonna finish it off. And there's no need to color change because now the cup is the size that I want it to be. I ended up doing 10 rows total. So I'm just gonna finish it off by cutting my yarn. And then pulling both yarns through that last row. So this is how big the cup is. And I'm gonna do this off camera, but the next step would be to create another cup because you need 2 total. So I'm gonna come back when both cups are done. So I finished the second bra cup off camera, and I'm gonna put these to the side for a second so I can work on the bikini bottom. To start the bottom, you're gonna make a chain that is the distance between your princess seams. So this is how wide you want the front of the bikini bottom to be. For me, I wanted mine to be about 29 chains long. And then you're gonna chain 2 for height because we're still doing the double crochet stitch. And skipping the first 2 chains on the hook, you're just gonna work double crochet stitches across this row. But when you get to the last stitch, you're gonna color change. So I'm on my last stitch and I'm gonna color change into this one. I'm gonna take the short piece and pull it all the way through so that it doesn't unravel. And then I'll chain 2 with this new color, and I'm gonna double crochet across this row. However, I'm gonna start and end this row with a decrease and making sure that I'm bringing along the blue yarn so that when I get to the end and I need to color change again, I don't have to reattach my yarn. So you do a double crochet decrease into that first stitch, those first 2 stitches, and then double crochet across this row. I'm gonna finish out this row with a decrease, but I'm gonna make sure to color change at the end of it. And then I'll chain 2, flip my work, and then work across this row using the blue yarn or the first color yarn, but I'm not gonna decrease starting or ending on this row. I'm going to continue to do alternating rows. So this row isn't a decrease row, but the row before was. The next row will be a decrease row. The next row will be stable until this top row, or the row that I'm working on, is narrow enough for the crotch area. So for me, I'm going to keep decreasing until I have 9 double crochet stitches on the row. And I will come back when I'm at that point. I just finished my last decrease row. I'm at 9 double crochet stitches on this last row here. And this is how tall the front of the bikini area will be. So from here, I'm going to start to work on the crotch area. I'm going to continue to alternate colors, but I'm just going to work stable rows for the next few rows until it's long enough to be the crotch area. So I'm going to start this off. I already chained 2, and I'm going to start with a regular double crochet. And I'm going to continue to work for the next few rows. I'll come back when I'm at the point where I need to start creating the back of the bikini. So I just finished my last stable row. I did 8 total. So this part right here, I feel like it's long enough to be the crotch area. So from now, I'm going to start to create the back seat coverage. And to do that, I'm going to increase in the first and last stitch on every single row, although that is optional to you. So if you want a more slim cut fit for the back of the bikini, you can increase every other row and it'll be similar to like the increases that we have here that we did on the front. But I like mine just to be like a little bit wider so that I can have more coverage. So I'm going to do every single row with an increase at the first and last stitch. So to start, I already chained 2. And to do your increases, you do 2 double crochet stitches into that one stitch. So I'm going to do 2 here. Okay, so this is 1, and this is 2. And then I'm going to work double crochets across this row. And when I get to the last stitch, I'll do another increase. So this is 1 double crochet and 2 into that same space. And I'm going to make sure to change my yarns. Okay, so then chain 2 and then flip your work. And you're going to start this row with an increase as well. And then I'll continue to double crochet across this row. And you're just going to continue to work up these rows until the back area is tall enough and wide enough that it covers your butt adequately. So that's up to you to decide. And I'm going to come back when I'm at that point. I worked up the majority of the back of the bikini. I ended up doing 24 increase rows total. So from here to here, it's 24. And I'm going to do one more row to finish it out. But this one, I'm going to do a little differently than the previous increase rows. I'm not going to start and end with an increase. I'm just going to do regular double crochet stitches all across. So I already chained 2. And I'm going to start with 1 double crochet and then just work my way across this row. So that was my last double crochet stitch. And from here, I can cut my yarn and pull it through. I'm going to pull both of them through. So for the next step, I'm going to do it off camera, but I'm going to take my darning needle and tuck all the loose ends. I do it the same way every single time, so I don't think I need to show it. But any of the loose pieces, like on the bikini bottom and on the bra cup, you're just going to tuck them where they can't be seen. And it's best to try and tuck each color into its own section. So you could tuck this blue piece into this row right here, but I would take the green piece or your second color yarn and tuck it into the green space here. So I tucked all my loose pieces in off camera, and now I'm going to show how to do the straps and the ties. You're going to do them at a few different places. So at the top corners of each bra cup, you'll do a tie. You're also going to do them at the top of the front of the bikini and the top of the back of the bikini. So to get started, we're pretty much just doing the chain stitch, but you're gonna do it with 2 pieces of yarn instead of 1. And since we're using contrast colors for these, you can use both of those colors for these ties. So I'm gonna take my crochet hook and insert it into this corner. I'm gonna pull my yarn through, and then I'm gonna take the short pieces like I always do and pull them all the way through that loop I just created. Reinsert my crochet hook, and then I'll just chain. And it's up to you to decide how long you want this chain to be. Since this is the side tie for a bikini, it probably needs to be like maybe 2 feet long. That way you'll have enough room to like tie. It'll be long enough that it'll be a little adjustable. And you can do like a side bow or a side knot with like little pieces hanging down. So I feel like this is long enough for my tie. I can't even fit the length in the frame. But it's up to you how long you want it to be. I'm just gonna cut my yarn at this point and then pull it all the way through. And I'm gonna do that 3 more times on the bikini bottom, and I'll do it twice here, but I'm gonna come back to show how to do it for this area. So I finished all of the straps and the ties off camera. I have them at the front and back of the bikini and at the top of both bra cups. Unfortunately, though, when we do the ties this way, it creates a lot of loose ends. So I'm going to tuck each of those off camera using the darning needle, and I'll come back to show the final step to connect the bra cups. So I tucked all of those loose pieces off camera. At the top here, they're gone. They're hidden away here and at the top of the bra cups. So the last and final step would be to make a chain that's going to go on your underbust, and it's going to lace through the bottom of the bra cups. It has to be long enough that you can wrap it around your underbust and tie in a bow at your center back. So in order to make that, you're going to take 2 pieces of yarn and just make your chain. But this one isn't going to be attached to anything yet. So I think my strap is about long enough. I can't fit the full length in the frame, but it's definitely long enough for me to tie it at my center back, and leaving a little piece of it hanging down. So I'm going to cut my yarn and then I'm going to pull it all the way through. And so now, move this out the way. So now I'm going to lace it through the bottom of the bra cups. And I'm just going to use my crochet hook to do it. So I'm just going to insert my hook into the end corner and then pull the piece through. So one side is done, and now I'm going to lace on the other side. So now that it's completely laced through, your bikini is done. Both pieces look great, and I'm going to cut to some images of it. So that's the end of this tutorial. Thanks for watching to the very end. If anything wasn't super clear, you can comment below and I'll try to respond back to you. But please like, subscribe, share, all of that. Thanks.